Hello, Jack MOLSI here, ready for another exhilarating video into the mind of Jack MOLSI and MOLSI Media. Today, just a few random thoughts on the entertainment industry, the mass media industry, where it's all heading, where has it been heading, what's going right, what's going wrong. I'll probably be a little bit, not absent-minded, but maybe a little bit all over the place on this one because I don't have a core message. But that's okay. Let's get to it. We have a weak American consumer on our hands, folks. I don't know. I think it's all phony. Did we ever recover from 2008? Did we not? Is it more complicated than that? I'm starting to hear that, since Bush won, things have never, ever really been the same. I'm starting to believe that that's the case. But basically, we have, okay, when you study the Bureau statistics, the Labor Bureau statistics, the labor statistics put out by the federal government, they'll tell you we have a rosy 4% unemployment, 4.5, whatever it's at now. That sounds fantastic, right? Wow, 95% of people have jobs. It's a misleading figure. Here's what's really going on. We have what I describe in this country as a self-employment crisis, where 33% of the USA's workers are self-employed. They work for themselves, so they're not included in that unemployed figure. And many of them got into it reluctantly. Many of them got into it in an exciting fashion. Yeah, I'll work for myself. This will be fantastic, and I got it all figured out. And then 6 months later, they're pulling out their hair because of the stress involved in marketing themselves and not just doing the work, but also finding the business and marketing the company and doing everything yourself and trying to have a personal life and paying for health insurance all by yourself, and your income is inconsistent. And 33% of the workforce is living that way with inconsistent pay, health insurance that they have to pay for. They probably all have student loans backed up if they're lucky, quote unquote. And that's so we have a consumer that is really in a position where he's only spending what he needs to spend on. And the price of groceries, because of food inflation and for a variety of reasons, keeps going up and up and up. And so all the money goes to day-to-day living. And then where does the money come in for leisure and entertainment? Well, they always said entertainment was a recession-proof industry because even in hard times, people still feel the need to escape, and they need entertainment in order to get away from their troubles and from the financial bad news in their lives. And that's true because Hollywood survived the 1929 Depression, the Great Depression. But it's very different because back then, I think people, they do count on entertainment in tough times, but bargain entertainment. And because in the 1929 Depression, the cost of going to a movie in a movie theater cost the equivalent of one loaf of bread. But if you do the math, in 2019, the equivalent of one movie theater ticket is the equivalent of now, 8, 9 loaves of bread? So it's no longer a bargain for the consumer to go out and enjoy a movie in the theaters. So hence the popularity of service like Netflix, where it used to be, for $8 a month, you got endless entertainment from all the studios, and everyone thought it was just so original and so great, and what a great company, what innovative company. Yeah, give me a break, okay? Give me a break. I hate to be harsh, but all these financial analysts hyping up Netflix have not done their homework. Netflix, I hate to say it because all my friends love it and some of my family likes it and all the financial analysts love it, and it's just hype. Because Netflix, I hate to say it, is Blockbuster Video. Okay? Speaking of self-employed people that get duped into thinking, I'm going to go out there and do something big. And then 6 months later, they figure out that it's not so rosy. That's Netflix. Give it a couple years. Because now they're in a situation where Disney has pulled out the content from Netflix. And now Disney owns Fox. So there goes the Fox, the 21st Century Fox, and all the Fox content. Disney's gone. Fox is gone. Warner Brothers is leaving. They announced that. So now Netflix is in a frenzy, and they're borrowing to the hilt to create original content. Now, I've never watched any of it. Some say it's really good. But I just don't see it. I see it having, it's going to be a very uphill battle because eventually Netflix is going to be relegated to a mini studio, which it already is now, but now it has an innovative distribution model. But it's not so innovative. Just like Blockbuster was an innovative distribution model, Netflix, I'm sad to say it, got used by the studios. They got used by the studios in that let's use this emerging company, Netflix, to test out a new distribution format, the direct-to-consumer through streaming. And if it works, then all the major studios will jump ship and they will just do it themselves. And they've got the big cannons when it comes to the content. And Netflix is just no longer needed in the equation. So they better come up with some really good, really big event, high concept content to be able to survive. But my prediction is all these financial analysts that are, when you turn on, the CNBCs and the Fox businesses, all these analysts, my dog is whining here, my coonhound, hyping up Netflix as the stock of the future. They're doing a gigantic disservice to the viewing public at home. Hi, William. Thank you. So Netflix, it's not Netflix and chill. I'm coming up with it. It's Netflix and hyperventilate. Because I think in 5 years, that stock is in a world of trouble. Okay? Netflix is Blockbuster Video. Breaking news. Jack MOLSI reported it. What else? We have a weak American consumer because of what I call the self-employment crisis. We need big companies and new companies to be able to hire. The problem is it's very difficult. I went into self-employment first as a lawyer with a law practice. Then on the side, I started doing the multimedia thing. And all along, I wanted to be a job creator. I wanted to be an entrepreneur and a job creator. And I wanted to help people and create jobs. It is so freaking difficult to do it. So my advice to people is don't be in a race, in a rush to be an entrepreneur, because you're going to regret it and you're going to miss the traditional sustainability of a job. And once you go solo, it's really tough to go back or to jump into the workforce in a different way. So we need, and the scary part is that we're at 33% of the workforce is self-employed, and that number is only growing. So the problem's going to get worse because it's going to be more and more consumers who just don't have the money in their pocket to go to the theme parks, to go to the movies, to buy the consumer products, to buy the toys, to go to the sporting events, and so on and so forth. So this has been the reliance. So I hate to say it, but in a lot of ways, it made business sense for the studios to kind of abandon the American consumer. And that's what's happened. And they've now focused on ancillary markets more so than they did previously. Foreign markets is a fancy word for foreign markets. Okay, so now the average Joe Sixpack in the United States of America doesn't identify with Hollywood. And I'm explaining this because why are the Oscars ratings going down and down every year? Because Joe Sixpack doesn't identify anymore. Because now, and this is getting better. The past 2 years have been much better. But I mean, a few years back in the early 2000s and just the 21st century for the most part, just talk about rampant socialist themes, abundant in all the content, characters that don't look like the average American anymore. But we got to cater to these foreign markets, these ancillary markets. And I think it's fantastic that entertainment, one of the U.S.'s main exports is entertainment, along with soybeans and meat and to a lesser extent software, pharmaceuticals. But entertainment, we're at least bringing in foreign money into the United States when so many industries don't even care about that. I'll bring up health as an example, where it's just, or even law, or all these professions and a lot of other industries too, where they just become parasites on the American consumer, where their money disappears when a problem arises, a health problem or a legal problem or what have you, and there's no foreign money coming in. So I applaud the entertainment industry, for reaching out to these ancillary markets, because we need to bring in foreign wealth. It's part of all the whole trade imbalance thing that Donald Trump was railing about all throughout 2016. And but we also have to remember, and I did a little bit of cheating because I read a fantastic memorandum by Jeff Katzenberg, who's kind of a hero of mine. I've read a lot about him, but I finally got my hands on the memorandum he wrote in 1991, and it was eye-opening because in 2019 I agreed with so much of what he was saying so long ago. Now I think he got fired from Disney like 3 months after he wrote that memo. So I don't know if it's smart for me to even talk about it. But he was saying so many smart things. And he said, don't dumb down the ancillary markets. The U.S. still needs to be the cultural leader. We're exporting a cultural product. We need to lead by example. And if it's a good story and good characters and if it's good content all around, the ancillary markets are going to respond. No matter what. We lead by example. We don't cater to them. We build it and they will come. And I could give a list of movies, like right now, Alita, the Warrior Angel, is doing fantastic in China. And I didn't view it as a movie that was pandering to the communist Chinese government or to even our perception of the average Chinese consumer. I thought it was a movie that the plot worked really well for American audiences, yet it's hitting a home run in China right now. That's not just a movie. 21st Century Fox did fantastic with that. I don't care what the critics say. It's a great movie. Go out and support it. Go out and see it. It's a smart story. It's well done. And it's one of those where I saw it just now at an IMAX theater, and I plan on buying the DVD too when it comes out. Good job, 21st Century Fox. And I didn't feel like they pandered to the Chinese government or even to our perception of the Chinese consumer. They didn't, try to push their buttons in a manipulative way. Rather, they told a good, universal, global story that's going to hit the buttons of anybody that watches it. And it told a lot of truth about what's going on in the world, too, which helps. So Netflix and hyperventilate. We have a weak American consumer. I'm tired of the news. The news needs to speak up and tell the truth to more people. Because a lot of people, they struggle day in, day out financially. They worry about how can I pay for my kids' college and how am I going to ever pay off the student loans, or I can't find work. I'm not making enough money on my own. But they think they're an island when they're not. Millions of people are having these problems because the news outlets don't report it. They just gave out a jobs report that says everything's fantastic. And I like Trump. I mean, you can hate me for saying that, but I respect him. But one thing that when he ran in 2016, he always said the labor statistics are phony. And now that he's president, suddenly they're not phony anymore. The labor statistics are still phony. So, is there a upside to being pessimistic in the news reports? Probably not. But we can't have people live in a false set of circumstances where they think, God, there's something wrong with me, when there's really not. It's a pattern, a nationwide pattern of people struggling. And this is hurting big business all around. Believe it or not, there's so much anti-corporate animus out there that's generated by these politicians on the left and the right. Corporations are bad and they're greedy and this. Well, no, we need them to do well. And for the corporations to do well, the consumer needs to do well. It needs to have some spending power. And then more money for the coffers of these companies. And they do need to reinvest. And they have a social responsibility to invest not just in shareholders, but in stakeholders. And people who buy your products. You should be hiring those people, giving them opportunities. The sad part is there's so much emphasis on raising the minimum wage. And Disney, I applaud them for doing it. I think that's great. It's a great PR spin. But it's also about just giving more people who are highly educated, highly qualified, can think, are able, are willing to work hard, giving them a minimum wage job. But it's like you maneuver through these job applications and they are so specific. You know, you need this specific, not just a computer programmer, but this specific type of programming only within this ecosystem. And it's like, I feel like the hiring managers are so narrow-minded in what they're looking for. And that leads me to another thing. Is that I think companies are being poorly run today. We have the CEOs who are on mute mode, just like the news outlets don't tell the truth. CEOs are incapable of telling the truth because they're public companies. And if they say any negative thing, and Bob Iger's complained about this, and I agree with him wholeheartedly, the CEO has become not a workhorse, not a doer, but has become a face of the company. I'm not just focusing on Disney. I'm focusing on across the board, Domino's Pizza, you name it. The CEO has become just a mere face of the company that gives good news and doesn't speak intelligently about problems the company's facing, hurdles that they need to surmount, and how we can do things better. And I think it's like I feel like all these companies are so highly segmented from one department to another, and from one subsidiary to another, from one entity within the umbrella to another, that I feel like there's a genuine lack of cohesion between departments, and that's hurting productivity an incredible amount. And let's go one step broader. That segmentation is hurting the American economy. Okay? Because you have IMAX that does the theaters but can't do the content. You have Disney that does the content but can't do the theaters. You have the studios are prevented through antitrust regulations from owning the theaters. So that gets in the way of innovation, because I'm working hard on doing the interactive movie theater experience where you have the hardware next to the seat and you choose the protagonist's adventure. Well, I can't do it because IMAX can't do the content. Disney can't do the hardware, even though I did go to Dave & Buster's, and Disney has perfectly capable arcade machines there. I don't know who, I know they're just licensing the rights and somebody else is doing it. But it seems like I'm coming up with a nascent, innovative concept that should have been implemented probably in 1984. And it's in 2019, and I can't get anybody to even entertain the idea, when it's going to be a moneymaker for everyone involved. And it's going to create a new industry. But the companies, the Fortune 500s, and it happens to small business too, it's happened to me, you get so segmented. No, you just do music. No, well, you can do music and movies, but you only do content. But don't get into technology. And the one company is